on the nfbtravel.org website. It's going to be anywhere we have social media. So it's going to be just basically focusing on us and our guests. So if you're concerned you don't want to be on the video or anything, just let us know. Okay, welcome to the 2014 meeting of the NFB Travel and Tourism Division. Before we start, I would like to say Pledge of Allegiance. We don't have a flag here, but if we could say Pledge of Allegiance, and then we're going to have a moment of silence, so if everybody can please stand up. And we're going to say the Pledge of Allegiance. And Margot, Amy, you can say pledge. We'll stand and say pledge?
Yeah,
I'm sorry. Sorry. Okay. Pledge allegiance to the
flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Before we sit, does anybody know by heart the NFB pledge? Because I have to say I'm bad. I don't know it by heart. If not,
I do.
Who's that?
Mr. Gimo.
Steve, you want to lead us off in the NFB pledge?
Okay. I pledge to participate actively in the efforts of the National Federation of the Blind to achieve equality, opportunity, and security for the blind, to support the policies and programs of the Federation and abide by its Constitution.
Thank you, everybody. And 2 more
Sally.
minutes. I'm sorry. As you may know, if you're on our talk list, our current vice president, who is not seeking re-election, Mr. Maurice Shackelford, I just heard from him about 5 minutes ago. He is home from the hospital. So I want to say everybody's prayers has helped. He had gone in last Monday. He was suffering from pneumonia. Everybody can sit now.
Thank you.
Pneumonia, and over the last year, his health-wise and other issues, that's why he's not re-seeking the vice presidency. And he's home, and he says thank you, and we had him on speakerphone, and we said yay, and thank God you're home, and all that. So, letting our NFB family know that our other NFB family thanks you very much for our concerns and our prayers and everything. So, I'm going to introduce myself if you're not familiar who I am, and everybody calls me the travel lady or cruise lady, or oh my God, I hear you all over the internet and everything else. I am Cheryl Echeverria. I'm from the proud state of the NFB of New York, and I have been president of this division since 2011. A little history about this division. It was a brainchild of Stephanie Scott Nelson, who is from Georgia. So if anybody is from Georgia or know who she is, she had a conversation with Dr. Mark Maurer at the National Convention in 2000, wanting to bring like-minded members of the NFB together just to discuss travel, figure out how maybe to do a trip somewhere together. And from there, it started out with former President Doug Johnson, who is here from Washington State. Doug, you want to say hello? Hello. And from there, it went to Mr. Don Gilmore. Don, can you say hello?
Hello.
And back in 2011, back when we were here the first time in Orlando, I was approached by former Treasurer Milton Taylor and Don Gilmore to try and bring this division, because of all the advocacy work I've been doing in the field, to also bring that to this division. Because everything we do, whether it is traveling down the street where a Kaiser guide dog, a sighted guide, or taking a bus, taking a train, taking a cruise, going anywhere, we all have to travel somewhere. So it's not just about leisure travel, it's about getting involved in your community, and I'm taking Margot Downey's spotlight here, so I will introduce our officers, a little bit about them, and then we will have a Treasury and Secretary report, and then we will have elections, and then we will have our guests. So, without further ado, I am going to start, like I said, Maurice Shackelford. He is not with us, he's in Georgia. Again, he's not seeking the election. He actually got me into being in the travel industry. I was looking to be a travel agent, and he helped me every single step of the way. So I always thank people that helped me, because one day I hope somebody will at least acknowledge me for helping them. I don't want much, just a little thank you goes a long way. So, again, he was board member. He has been vice president, my left and right hand, and we're so glad that he's well. Now we're going to go to treasurer, and then I'm going to go to secretary.
Can you do it the other way?
I certainly can until you're done. I do not mind at all.
If you don't mind, I would really appreciate it.
Not a problem, Linda. We're going to move over to secretary. Margot Downey from Buffalo, New York is our secretary. Later on, she is seeking the seat as secretary again. So Margot, without further ado.
I'm Margot Downey from Buffalo, New York, and my guide dog Isis is under the table with me, and she's enjoying the convention as much as I am. I've been secretary of this organization for a couple of years, I think.
Yeah.
And I'm seeking re-election because I really love being in this division. And we just talk about so many. I think our division is the most varied. We help people just know that they can travel independently. We've had a lot of stories of people who, I didn't think I could travel like that. Gosh, I did. Now I just want to travel all the time. And so we have a lot of stories like that. In Buffalo, or in New York, I am vice president of the New York Association of Guide Dog Users. I am on the local board of the Buffalo chapter of the National Federation of Blind. And I am a commissioner with our local Niagara Frontier Transportation Authority. And that keeps me very busy. We oversee the whole operation. We don't micromanage, but we do oversee the operations of and we take care of buses, the metro rail trains, the airports. We have 2 airports, plus a lot of properties, and a boat harbor, and all kinds of things. And so it's real fun. We have a speaker here from the Statler Center program who'll be speaking with us later, Patrick Keys. I was in the 2nd Statler class back in 2000. And so I've had a long history with the Statler Center as well. And I guess that's it now.
I'm also going, since Glenn's still working here, I want to introduce Milton Taylor. As all of you know, he has been treasurer for the last 14 years?
10 years.
10 years of this division. Milton, I'd like you to stand and let them know why Glenda is here and you're not continuing with your treasury position. If you don't mind, Milton Taylor from the great state of Utah.
It's been a pleasure to be treasurer for as long as I have. Enjoyed working with the Travel and Tourism Division. I got in before Doug Johnson was president, Don Gilmore. And it's been a pleasure to be a part of this division and to work with Cheryl, particularly on our Utah trip that we did back in last fall, 2013. The reason I'm not continuing on is I'm doing some district work with Lions Clubs International, and I'll be district governor next July. So I appreciate the opportunity to serve here and continue to serve in kind of a different capacity with Lions Club, continue to be able to help the National Federation of Blind in ways that I could not do from the inside. So thank you very much for your support over the last 10 years, and looking forward to continued growth and upping the bar and travel in this division.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Back when Milton had officially announced that he was not seeking, and if we could find somebody interim until convention, and we're going to be asking you to vote in officially by the members, which we need to do at this convention when we're going through elections. Miss Glenda Farnham from Oklahoma. Glenda, are you ready to speak?
I will make it do, and this will work.
Okay.
All right. You know, as always, there's always people that are not as prepared as they should be, and
She's a very busy woman.
I apologize for that up front. Right before I left home, I'm a caregiver for 2 people, and have adopted a 3rd one. All family members, so I don't have any choice. It's not that I love doing it, so, but I do love doing it. So but anyhow, so I didn't get everything together. I can tell you, we don't
need a report. We just need to
oh,
hear
just
about who you are first, and then we'll do that.
Oh, see, I'm not going to do this.
That's okay. That's quite all right.
Anyhow, I'm a very busy person, like she said. In my spirit, I also am a Mary Kay independent beauty consultant because I have a real passion about just because you're blind does not mean you shouldn't care about what you look like, and that you should care about your skin care and all of that. So I'm very passionate about that, and because of my background in blindness rehabilitation, I'm pretty good at teaching some of those skills and working with people who are blind to
take seeking the vice presidency of this division.
And I would like to nominate Ms. Amy Barron for vice president, please.
Amy Barron. I gotta do my job here. Wait a minute. Hold on, don't run ahead of yourself. You have to do everything by the book here. Do I hear any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations from the floor? Are there any other nominations from the floor?
Move that nominations cease and that we elect Amy Barron by acclamation.
Yay!
All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We're helping all of us out. Just a little background. Amy and I celebrate the same exact birthday, which is April 13th. So, you know what? You guys feel sorry for our husbands because we're Bulgarians. So that's a little slight joke. Okay. Next position is for secretary. Margot Downey is seeking re-election.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I would like to put a nomination of Margot Downey as secretary.
Margot Downey's name has been entered into as secretary. Do I hear any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations from the floor? Any other nominations from the floor?
Move nomination cease and she be elected by acclamation.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Margot Downey, welcome to
Deal on that one.
Would you like to say a few words?
Yeah. I like your right.
Okay.
No, I'm very happy to be part of this division and part of our NFB family. And I look forward to an exciting 2 years as we all grow and learn about travel and all the wonderful stuff we can do, and what we know is that the sky is limitless.
Exactly. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Even though Glenda is the interim treasurer, she was voted in by the officers, but I think it's only fair that she give us our full attention because I like to formally nominate Ms.
I nominate Ms. Glenda Farnham as our money lady, treasury,
Money bag.
for the next 2 years.
And I second that.
Any other nominations from the floor, treasurer? Any other nominations on the floor? Any other nominations from the floor? Go ahead, Glenn.
Move that nomination
All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Madam Treasurer, officially welcome as our treasurer. able to serve. Thank you very much. And we have actually 3 seats for board members. We have 2 seats that are available, and 1 seat, Mr. Jamal Powell is seeking a board seat. So do I hear any?
I nominate Mr. Jamal Powell for a board seat.
Do I hear any other nominations for the floor?
Madam President,
Yes?
Bob Respect,
Yes, sir.
I nominate John Tabakars.
Well, we have 2 other seats available. So can we first vote in Jamal and have the other 2 seats that are empty to, I don't know, am I doing this right?
No, he can nominate.
Okay. I've never been in this position before, sorry people.
I would run for it, but I have to join up real quick as soon as I can join up.
Okay, well, Bob, let's hear from Jamal. Jamal, why don't you give us a little bit? We heard about your background and how long you've been here. But John, would you like to give us a little information about you, and then we'll put it up to a vote?
Certainly. I've been in the NFB for 25 years. I served as chapter secretary, president, treasurer in my home chapter back in Iowa.
Yes, you're the executive director of the Jernigan Institute, but you're here as a blind person who likes to travel and gives a little bit of your tips for traveling and the places that you've gone to. So if you could give us something in that sort of way.
I'll do the best I can in the time I have.
Thank
so
you.
how's everybody doing?
All right.
Yeah. All right. You know, the National Federation of the Blind has taught us many things as blind people, and one of the things it teaches us to do is get out and live the life we want and go the places we want to go with confidence. And that doesn't always mean that we know what to do when we get there, but the Federation teaches us not to be afraid of what we might find, not to be afraid of the unknown, because so often blind people are taught that what they should do is sit and wait for someone else to work it out for them. And we have a long history of this, right? Dr. Tenbrook first taught us that what we have to do is understand we have the right to live in the world. And Dr. Tenbrook taught us that we have rights, and that being blind does not mean we have lesser rights than other people. And then we had Dr. Jernigan, who taught us to assert our rights in so many situations. That it's not enough to know that you have rights, but you have to assert them and exercise them. And Dr. Maurer has helped transform us to an even better place, which is that not only that we know that we have rights and that we assert rights, but that we understand at a very deep level that we belong in society. Yes. It's not just that we have a right, but that we do belong here. And as we think about the next phase of our movement, we have to think about not just belonging in the world, but how do we actively live in the world as blind people, and how do we do the things that we want to do and go the places we want to go with confidence. And part of what we've always done in the National Federation of the Blind, in this family that we have, is we share with each other. We share our hopes, our dreams, our tips, our tricks for living in the world. And I hope that that's what this division is helping us do within the National Federation of the Blind, is really spark the conversation about how do we go more places, how do we find the places we know where we belong, and how do we live there? Where are the places blind people want to go that we've never decided to go before because we haven't thought we had access to? And let's figure out how to go there and do those things and have those adventures, and then share the techniques that we used for each other. And that's the wonderful thing about this organization, is we get to decide for ourselves what we do. And as individuals in our own lives, the Federation teaches us to do that as well. So, any of the places I've decided to go, it's really the Federation that has taught me to go to those places with confidence. And we know that any of the places we go, we're going to run into the same misconceptions about blindness
as anywhere else, right? So we have to come with that understanding that we're going to run into those situations. Now, it's wonderful the era that we live in today, right? Because we can get access to a tremendous amount of information in advance. The internet allows us to research places, to share ideas, to see what other people have said about it, and to use that as a formation to go the places we want to go. But of course, we know that technology is not always built to be accessible. And so the first thing I'd offer is, one of our responsibilities, besides sharing with each other the tips and tricks that we use to get access and the things that we found, the places that we've gone, is to be honest and give feedback to the travel related websites and services on the internet that are not accessible. I get so frustrated when I try to use a particular mobile app or a website and I can't get the basic information about the place I want to go. And when we are honest with those places and we create feedback loops that will benefit us for the trip we want to take, but we also have the opportunity to create a relationship with the National Federation of the Blind. And if you look at our sponsors and exhibitors, many of those came out of relationships that someone in the Federation started and said, man, you are not doing this right. You have to come talk to these thousands of people in the Federation. Why? Well, I have a particular point of view, right? You have a particular point of view. But when we get these folks to ask hundreds of us, they're going to get a lot of the same thing, a lot of commonality, but they're also going to recognize that we're not cookie cutter, right? We're as diverse as any group out there. And that what we brought them to do is make sure that they address specifically our non-visual access needs. So do we have at this convention? Well, we have Uber, one travel-related sponsor, but we need more. We had Southwest 2 years ago. They've never come back. Why? I don't know, maybe they figured they learned it all. Their app did get better after they spent time at our convention, but their website stinks. I don't know about you, but I can't stand the website.
Don't worry, we don't have any microphones here.
No, I'll tell them. I've told them.
Attention.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
Hold on a minute. Yes.
Your name, please.
It's Patrick Keys from the National Statler Center, located in Buffalo, New York. I come from a little bit different perspective, I suppose, than what we just heard in terms of what the idea of how the blind can travel. What we are doing at the Statler Center is working to have blind people try to own part of the industry and be involved on the side of providing the service and directing a lot of the accessibility from the inside. What we do is we work to train people in customer service across the hospitality industry. Now, for a long time, the Statler Center was labeled unjustly as a hotel school. All you're going to do is learn how to work and answer a phone in a hotel room. That is ridiculous. It is not true. What we are working on is customer service within an incredibly large industry, a $4 trillion a year worldwide industry. This is something that you can't understand how large and how important it is and how really every one of us in this room is somehow involved in hospitality. If you work with people at all, if you are working with people in any capacity, you are involved in some way with hospitality. You are providing service, you are working to help people, and in this particular organization, you are working to help people that are blind, visually impaired, disabled in some way that they need special access. Our program is based on training people to be better and more effective and to create new avenues of access. One of the things that I found interesting in looking at the Legoland example, the idea of having them come to the job fair and asking, well, are you really ready to hire blind people? Our program is not here to wait for a company to say that they're ready to hire blind people. Our program is going to companies and saying, you are ready to hire blind people. What we are doing is providing the skills and the capabilities and the confidence in our students so that we can go to any employer and say, this person, purely on their merits, regardless of whether they can see or not see, or walk or not walk, or whatever it might be, you still have the capabilities and you still have the interest and the drive to succeed And our job at the Statler Center is to really just enable you to have that level of confidence, to learn the skills that are needed, and to move forward in whatever portion of this industry, which again, it's not just hotels, it's not just cruise companies or airlines or limousine companies or restaurants or attractions or museums or art galleries or, I mean, it is an incredibly huge spectrum of opportunity. And our job to be as concise as possible is to help anybody who wants to be in any of these areas get into those areas, to start wherever they can, to work with us, and for us to maintain that relationship with our students from the time they first call us to, frankly, till they breathe their last. Our job is to be with you throughout and to advocate on your behalf and to get you into a situation where you can make a living, establish a career, and make a difference. And that's really what we're all about, and that's as brief as I could possibly be. My boss would be amazed that I could do it that quickly.
You can breathe now, Patrick.
So that's what we do, and we love the chance that we have to be here with all of you today. The fact that we're here all week working over in the exhibit area to recruit and tell people about exactly that, about what our mission is, to help, to train, to allow people to move forward in this very exciting and rewarding industry. I've been involved in it for about 22 years now. I've only been on this side of it for the last 2, but one of the things that the Statler Center does, and the reason that I got involved in it to be an employee, is we have guest speakers from this industry coming in all the time. Once a week, one day of the week, there are between 6 and 8 guest speakers that come in to talk about all the different opportunities that exist in hospitality, that exist in tourism, that exist in travel, that exist in service. And I was one of those speakers for 14 years, coming from about 7 different jobs. And so giving a lot of different perspectives. And so it's very important that people saw the variety, the breadth, the room for growth, the room for opportunity, the room for making a difference. And so now that I get to do this as my job, I'm finally able to return back to a point of passion in terms of loving the industry again and understanding that there is a great chance to bring new people and people that are differently able to come in and really make a difference for everybody. And that's the story, so thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
I'm the president and CEO of Special Needs Group, also known as Special Needs at Sea. And what our company does is provide wheelchairs, mobility scooters, oxygen. Various cruise lines will have printed menus that we print in Braille for them. For the service animals, the cruise lines will check with us to provide sod or cypress mulch for the relief areas on board the ships. The question I always get is, where is the relief area? And the obvious answer is on the poop deck. Right?
Yay! Worked hard along on that, didn't you?
Yeah. It's always good when it's a crowd that's never heard it before. So just a little bit about myself. Patrick was mentioning about call centers. So I used to work for a company that would staff for AT&T call centers, and AT&T got out of the business, and I found myself being downsized, looking for work. I couldn't find work, and there was a travel agent who had requests for special needs equipment and services. So they asked me if I'd be willing to do this, and I live in Miami. And so I said, well, I can't find work anyway, might as well give it a shot. So I made the first deliveries with my Saturn. I got a little storage unit that I rented out and had wheelchair scooters in there, some oxygen equipment. And as it started to grow, I rented a warehouse. I would rent a van from Enterprise on the weekends to make the larger deliveries. Then I started to hire some staff to make some deliveries with me. Bought a van. And in order to grow, I would wake up at 3 in the morning and drive up to Port Canaveral, make my deliveries there, and then drive across the state to Tampa and make deliveries there the same morning and come back. So I did whatever it took to grow the company. And at this point, we make deliveries in 135 different cities in 30 different countries. So thank goodness I don't have to wake up at 3 in the morning. But in general, that's what we do, and I'm here to give any answers that I can to you, and as well to learn from you as to what products and services that I can help with in order to make travel possible. I was remarking with Cathy, who you're going to hear from, on the drive up before I got in this business. My idea of traveling around the world was Epcot, and that was true. But it's possible for anyone who wants to go, not only to be able to go on a trip, but to enjoy your trip. And we're doing whatever we can to spread the word. We created a certification program for travel agents to become accustomed and to understand that it is possible for anyone to travel. Unfortunately, we were finding that travel agents would have someone come in and they were like a deer caught in headlights, not able to assist people because they didn't know what to do and just said, oh no, you can't travel. So we started a program that we provide for free. Travel agent can go through the certification. They get credit towards their certification as being a travel agent and having their travel agent number. So whatever we can do, we're doing to make sure that it is possible and also fun. And regarding the questions and answers, because Cathy and I will have some of the same answers and we'll be able to assist you together, I'll wait until after Cathy has spoken and then we can answer questions together. Is that okay?
That's fine. And before I bring Cathy up, I'd like to let you guys know how somebody that is blind or needs services will go is if you're, whether you're calling a cruise line directly or through a travel agent. And I know many people don't like to say, well, why do I have to give that information? I'm blind. I shouldn't have to tell anybody anything about myself, where I'm going, what I'm doing. I have a guy doing this and that. And I can understand that with a taxi or something else local, but when you're spending a lot of money to go on a cruise, everybody wants to enjoy themselves. So let's say you're calling up Echeverria Travel and say, Cheryl, you know I'm blind, I'm traveling with my guide dog, or I need a scooter or something like that, and I don't know what to do. What am I going to do? Well, first of all, we'll book it for you. And then I would say to you, look, you know, what exactly do you need? Do you need the scooter? Do you need a wheelchair? Do you just need a guide dog relief box? What do you need? So I'll go through a whole list of things to that. I will call up Norwegian Cruise Line and I'll speak to their access team and say, look, Mr. and Mrs. Echeverria are coming on Norwegian Cruise Line and they're bringing their guide dog. Mrs. Echeverria is also diabetic. She has some allergies, or she's kosher, or whatever it is. And then they need Braille. So from there, I'll fill out an access form for the client. I give it the access form to the Norwegian Cruise Line Access Department. They get in touch with a special needs group. So that way, let's say you have a guide dog, the box will be on the ship. Somebody from the ship will show you where that is on the ship.
The poop deck.
The poop deck, that's right. And you are somebody that needs a scooter. You do not have to bring your scooter on the ship. If you could get onto the ship, or somebody could take you by a wheelchair onto your room, that scooter, if I'm not, you guys get corrected, will be there upon your arrival or your hotel room. And when you leave to go back home at the port or at the hotel, we leave you there and somebody from special needs group will come and pick you up. So it's not like you have to fly with your wheelchair or your scooter or drive with your car, bring that with you. It's all there for you. Yes, there might be a fee, but that is to make your trip more enjoyable. You're spending enough money on a trip that you want to make it as accessible as possible for you. So, last but not least, a very good friend, and I have to say friend because she's been there through all my ranting and ravings, and the reason why I got in touch with Norwegian Cruise Line is basically through the NFB. When I first became a travel agent, my first thing was I'm also a member of NACDU, And I wanted to do a fundraiser cruise for the NACDU division. Oh my God, back in 2009 did I have my head, didn't I, Don?
Yeah.
Almost all the David Andrews is like, what did you start? And then if you're on the NFB now, you know David Andrews is the host of all of our talk lists. And everybody's like, don't you know we sued Norwegian Cruise Line? Don't you know we did this? Don't you know about Robert and Joyce Stiefel? I'm like, wait a minute, time out. I've only been actively with the NFB since 2006. Before that, I was sick on dialysis. What are you talking about? And then I looked. Now, people ask me, and I'm sorry, Cathy, I'm going to take a few minutes here. People ask me why I only sell or offer certain places or cruises or something. I sell everything. I want to offer you the best of what I can give and know the best I can give. So when I was hearing this, Norwegian Cruise Line is very open with their travel partners. I mean, they're even open on Facebook to all everybody out there. And Andy Stewart, who is the executive sales of global marketing, Camille Oliveria, executive sales. These people are real people. They said, oops, yes, we know what's going on. Here's Cathy Vazquez's name. Call her. Let her know what you need. Let us know how we can help. And since 2009, I have to say Norwegian Cruise Line is one of the top suppliers that I work with. I do sell all the other competitors and everything else in the world, but my first thing out when somebody's asking me about a cruise is Norwegian Cruise Line. And without further ado, Ms. Cathy Vazquez give me your full time. Please introduce your full time.
I'm just going to give one title, Access Desk Manager.
Thank you.
My name is Cathy Vazquez, and I work for Norwegian Cruise Line. And the good news is I don't have to say a whole bunch because I think Cheryl said most of it.
Sorry.
What I do is my department handles all pre-cruise requests from guests with special needs. So we handle everything from service animal accommodations to guests who are deaf. We deal with a lot of autistic children and adults, severe food allergies, any type of special request. We make sure that we take care of everything. We liaison with access officers. We have an access officer. Is this okay? We have an access officer on board each of our ships, and that person is responsible for making sure that the guest with special requests has everything in place so that they can enjoy their cruise. So we as a cruise line really started looking at making sure that we were inclusive of everyone. And we've done so much. Guests who are deaf, we have so many auxiliary aids now on board. We have Braille menus, and we're looking at putting directional Braille on all the ships for guests that are blind. We hire sign language interpreters. I mean, we do everything that we can to make sure that when you get on board, you can relax and you can enjoy your vacation. So between my team and the team on board, the access officers, we're dedicated to making sure that we are doing everything we can to make sure that you just relax, you enjoy. And a cruise, because it's so inclusive, is a perfect vacation. So for those of you out there who have a cruise jet, you know, I work very closely with Cheryl. She's a great travel partner. That's a vacation that you might really want to try because I think you would really enjoy it. And again, because we have so many things in place to make sure that you do enjoy it. So I'm here also with Andy for any question and answers. Anything you guys want to know?
Don Gilmore.
Hi.
Hi, Cathy. I guess first thing I want to say is I have a complaint. I just took Norwegian Cruise weekend cruise here a few weeks ago over the Bahamas and back out of Miami. We requested to have Braille menus. We did not receive them. There were nothing on the ship about, they knew nothing. In October, I'm doing the repositioning of the Epic from Barcelona back to Miami. I'm going to make that request again. I hope that what you folks are saying is true, but my experience has not been that.
Okay, well, I apologize for that.
For a person who never cruised, I mean, how many restaurants are on a cruise?
On with some of our newer ships where we have all the specialty restaurants, we're looking at up to 10, 12 restaurants on one ship.
Yes, it was quite a process for us bringing the menu because Norwegian is the cruise line that innovated freestyle cruising. And basically what that means is you have a choice from many different restaurants. Instead of just having one dining room to go to, you have many restaurants to go to. So you have a sushi place, an Italian place, a teppanyaki place, so on and so forth. So there were a lot of menus to bring.
Peter Slayton back there. Cathy and Andrew, how do you work with, how does Norwegian work with the excursion providers, the onshore excursion providers who also take in folks with disabilities or disembarking from the boats and the ships as they arrive to the port and going on various adventures, on-land adventures? How do you interface with them and make sure that they're accessible or let your guests know, that your passengers know that what are the best accessible options out there?
Excellent question. And we have started embarking on a project to make sure that we have service level agreements with our tour operators. Some tour operators, it's easier than others. Some of the ones in Europe we're very challenged with. But like the tours that we have Hawaii, anything that's American, we make sure that they have accessible buses, assisted listening devices, sign language interpreters in local areas. So we are actually working on formalizing service level agreements because, for us to just say, well, we're just the cruise line, that's the tour company. No, you look at it as all inclusive. So we have to be responsible and pick tour operators that are going to accommodate you. So we are working on that right now.
Tom Kinney.
Hello.
Hi, Tom. I have a question. Well, one, it's kind of something I've never been on a cruise before.
Myself?
Pardon?
I'm sorry?
I have never been on a cruise.
Oh, you have never been on a cruise.
Right, I have never been on one. And what I have heard stories about where they sometimes will tell people, oh, you have to have sighted help with you. Like, well, how would I be accepted if I decided to come on a cruise by myself?
You absolutely do not have to have sighted help with you. We have had several people that have sailed by themselves, guests who are totally blind. And what happens is the access officer meets with them the first day. They take them around the ship so they can get their bearings about them. And they have traveled.
Oh, I'm sorry. Thank you.
Because my concern would be, I know they have pools and all that stuff. I mean, would we be allowed to use everything that everybody else is allowed to use?
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because as you know, back in, like I said, prior to me being part of the NFB, that not only Norwegian Cruise Line, like I said, I heard about Norwegian Cruise Line, but all the cruise lines back in the day, we're not talking that long ago, we're not allowing couples or blind people to travel without a sighted person with them. Can you please, if you're going to take your call, please take it outside?
10 minutes, please.
Thank you. Not come on board. And, Norwegian Cruise, the National Federation of the Blind kind of kicked that in the butt. I mean, we still hear things, but like myself being somebody who's also a travel agent, a lot of times I hear from you guys and saying, oh, I can do this and I can do that, and I don't need help with this, and I don't need help with that. And I'm not saying we're wrong, they're wrong, there's always things going on, but I always, when I'm speaking to somebody, and it's right or wrong, I'm going to ask somebody, how much mobility do you have? How much service you're going to need, what that service is, so I can give you the best advice, so I can relay the information as well. So, I'm not saying that if you're going to go on a cruise and you want to go by yourself. No, Norwegian Cruise Lines, they're going, like Cathy said, there's going to be an access officer. I've been on cruise lines where the access officer is back in Miami and they have no idea. On every single one of Norwegian Cruise Line ships, they have access officer that I make sure, especially if you go to me, I will let Cathy know, Tom Kennedy is going to be on the Norwegian Gem. Who's going to meet him at the pier? You know, is somebody going to be there to give him a tour of the ship? Believe me, since 2009, I've gone this through every single one of my clients.
So, in other words, upon boarding, there would be someone there that would familiarize me with the ship.
Yes.
And let me know where things are and stuff like that. Now, when it comes to the restaurants, I understand they have a lot of buffets and stuff.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
And I understand the food on the ship is basically unlimited, basically. It's not like you pay for each item.
That's correct.
Pardon?
The only time you would pay is if you go to the specialty restaurants.
Okay, it's the only time you pay extras if you go to a specialty restaurant.
And that's nominal.
Well, yeah. That makes sense, yes. Well, I appreciate that because I'm thinking about it at some point whenever I can afford to do it.
That's excellent. We look forward to welcoming you on board.
And I have one comment. People have said that travel agents don't exist anymore, things like that.
Yeah.
Just so you understand, you're going to pay the same amount of money to have a travel agent book it for you, and you're going to have the expertise that the travel agent can give to you. Cheryl has that you'll have to spend years searching online to find the same information. You'll never find the same information. So it's best to hire an expert, let them book it for you. It's going to cost the same for you anyway, and you're going to have an enjoyable experience because of it.
Because
hold on, Tom. There's other questions out there. Can you say your last name, please, so you could be recognized?
Good.
Barbara Henry.
Yes, Barbara. Go ahead.
You mentioned earlier, is it called access officer?
Yes.
So is that a general term that you would use on cruise ships? If let's say I go on and I need a braille menu, could I say to the staff, do I deal with the access officer specifically? Or?
Yeah, well, the way it works is whenever somebody has a special request, they let the access desk know, and then we put the special request in the reservation, and that transmits over to the ship. When the ship receives it, the access officer downloads it and puts a letter in everybody's cabin that has the special request, identifying themselves. If the person is blind, of course, they would go to the cabin so that they can have a conversation with them, give them the contact information, and let them know that if they had any issues with any accommodation they had in place, that they are to go to them.
So, I'm sorry, can I ask one more question? So let's say you get an email or something like a confirmation for your cruise. Does it say access officer in it? Is Mr. Smith?
No, you would get that once you get on board.
Okay.
Right, and to clarify, Norwegian Cruise Line is the only cruise line that has an access officer. Other cruise lines either may have another point of contact person, or they have a different title.
Well, as Cheryl said, they're usually in the corporate office, so they're really not on board.
There's no one on board.
Yeah.
Right, Norwegian Cruise Line has gone the extra step where they actually have the officer. And as we were just saying before, have your travel agent make the arrangements ahead of time for you.
Thank you.
And then when you get on board, then your point of contact initially will be the access officer.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, gentleman up here, right here.
Yeah. I have a question named President Miles. Okay, I'm looking forward to going on a cruise sometime next year or the following year. And I need to get in contact with the travel agent, and how much would a actual 3-day cruise would cost?
Oh,
well, you would talk to somebody
you
like
would
me, sir.
You would talk to Cheryl.
I'll give you my card, sir.
Because that varies by season.
Where you go.
Where you're going, right. So Cheryl can help you because, as Andy said, not only does she have the information, but she also has the contacts. She's built a lot of relationships with people in the industry, so she would serve you very, very well.
Jose Marquez?
Go ahead, Jose.
I'm just curious, travel agents, how do they normally make their money? How do I know I'm talking to a true travel agent where it's just not a match for a particular company, or someone that's really looking out for my needs and concerns?
Well, that would be you're trying to find out how you make money as a travel agent, as if somebody was coming to you to book a cruise, let's say?
Well, I know.
What is the question?
I'm sorry, I'll rephrase the question. Basically, how do I know if a travel agent is really being ethical in the sense that they're really going to look out for what I want compared to those who's just trying to make a sell for a particular company, I guess? I mean, how do travel agents make their money?
Basically, the same, we're all the same. We all have. There's no such thing as a licensed travel agent, but if you could ask them if they're a CLIA certified, which I am, which is the Cruise Line International Association. I'm also with OSSN, a number of accreditations. I'm also a special, Norwegian Cruise Lines certified. All the different cruise lines that are out there, a travel agent should at least know the product they're talking about. And like in any other kind of business, you just have to feel confident that the person you're working with is reliable and has a following, and check the person out before you even use them.
Yeah, and for us, of course, we can recommend Cheryl, but since you're a member of the National Federation of the Blind, you can ask for a referral, of course, and that's what this group is about. And on our website, we have certified agents through our certification. If you punch in your zip code, it'll bring up travel agents in your area. But of course, I would highly recommend Cheryl for anyone that has a visual impairment. She's an expert.
Thank you.
Amy.
This gentleman has a question.
All right, the gentleman in the back has been asking that.
Yes.
He's going to be the last one because we're running a little late. So go ahead, sir.
I was just gonna, last name's Chan. I was going to take the dog with me on the ship, but I mean, some of the, excursions, those areas, they're not necessarily dog friendly, so to speak. How do you handle that situation?
Well, for me in general, I'm sorry, Kat, I'm going to answer this very, you really have to do your homework, especially of the country that you're going to. I know, let's say an example, you're going on a cruise, one of your stops is Jamaica. As of right now, you can't bring your guide dog, on a cruise and get off the ship in Jamaica. You can't fly into Jamaica, you can take the cruise. You have to look at the country where you're going. You have to plan ahead. You need permits from that country. Let's say you're going on a 7-day cruise and you're going to 3 Caribbean islands that are not part of the U.S. Virgin Islands. If you, I'm just going to example, contact me. I contact the Department of Agriculture because not only does that country need a copy of the permit that you need to get from your vet, but the cruise line also needs a copy of it. So whatever you're going to do, or wherever you're going to bring your dog, you got to make sure that the dog is allowed into that country. Yeah, you can bring your dog, but you got to make sure you want to get off the ship and see the country that you paid so much to go and see. I have many clients that haven't done that, and I said, well, I could help you get. Oh, well, I've been off and I've done this before, and they get to the port and they're not letting the officers in that country are not letting them off because guess what? You told me you could get the paperwork and you didn't, and it's not the paperwork from that country. So you got to plan ahead when you bring your dog. At least a good 3 to 4 months ahead of when you want to cruise to bring your dog in, depending on what shots they need. I'm not talking about Hawaii.
Can you let Cathy address the question that he asked also, please?
Excuse me, I'm giving him as
you're talking about something else completely.
You're talking about the
shore excursions, and you're talking about your travel agency and what you do. I would like to hear what Cathy has to say about shore excursions. That's why he asked the question.
And I was trying to give, depending on the country as well, advice before Ms. Vazquez got to the point. Thank you. Go ahead, Cathy.
Everything that Cheryl said is true. Do your research, make sure you know about the different ports that you're going into. But a part of that is also being creative. And I'm going to give you a story that happened not too long ago. We had a blind couple that came on board our 3-day with their service dog. And they signed up for the Swim with the Dolphins tour. So when we found out about it, it wasn't like, oh no, we can't do this. It was like, how can we do this? So between us and the tour operator, we worked it out so that our crew stayed to the side with the dog. Another crew member went in the water with the couple so that they could experience the dolphin experience. And it worked out great for everyone. So sometimes it just takes a little bit of creativity.
Okay, Amy, did you have a question?
Yes. Do you do, with your special needs, do you do more than just the lovely cruises? For
Yes. Yes. The question is, do we provide special needs equipment and services for more than just cruises? And the answer is yes.
Do you work with Amtrak?
We do a little bit with Amtrak, not much. Our company started as Special Needs at Sea, and now we call ourselves Special Needs Group because what was happening, customers were calling us saying, I reserved your services for my cruise, but I'm flying into Miami a few days before, can you recommend someone? And we would tell them, well, we can provide the service for you, and they would argue with us saying, no, you can only do it at sea. So we started calling ourselves Special Needs Group. We provide accessible service increasingly in various land locations. I can tell you right now, if you went to Italy, even if you went to the smallest speck town anywhere in Italy, we provide service there now. And that's our first step to make one country completely accessible and then expanding to the rest of Europe from there. But any major port city is our strength because that's where we have our agents as well as our equipment. So when I say any major port city, it can be Miami, Fort Lauderdale, Fort Canaveral, Jacksonville, all the way up the eastern seaboard, Baltimore, Boston, so on and so forth. Okay, good question though. Thank you.
Any other questions? I want to thank Cathy, Andrew, and Patrick. Are you still here, Patrick Keys? For being guests today. I know it's been a couple of years in the making, but I want to appreciate you guys for coming up from Miami to speak today to us.
Thank you for having us.